Hello beautiful people, it's Sindafam. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be checking this video together. Let's check it out.
Well, Harry and Meghan have demanded a royal apology for the claims made in their Netflix documentary. The 6-hour wine-a-thon launched blistering attacks on Britain and the British monarchy, and the palace is reportedly baffled by the request. They're not the only ones. And as if we haven't suffered enough, tonight Netflix released a new trailer for another Harry and Meghan show. This one promises to be just as smug as the first one.
This was inspired by Nelson Mandela, who once said, "What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived.
It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead."
It's about people who have made brave choices.
To fight.
Brave choices. Brave choices.
Made brave choices.
To fight for change and to become leaders.
And giving inspiration to the rest of us. To live, to lead.
Inspiration.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, every time I think they can't plummet new depths, these two, they're now comparing themselves to Nelson Mandela, who spent nearly 30 years in a 6x6 prison cell. Really? He went on to become the first black president for South Africa, a unifying leader of true greatness, one of the, well, actually the most impressive person I've ever interviewed in my life. They are comparing their dash for freedom to a mansion in California where they now hawk out their royal titles for hundreds of millions of dollars. That's what Mandela did in their eyes? Well, to me, it's unbelievable. But maybe there are some out there that believe this stuff. Joining me now is the author and activist Natalie Collins, the former...
Exactly. There are some out there that believe this stuff. Sorry I had to pause it here, but I just wanted to comment on that.
Well, to me, it's unbelievable. But maybe there are some out there that believe this stuff. Joining me now is the author and activist Natalie Collins, the former head of Royal Protection, Di Davis, and Talk TV contributor Esther Cracker. Well, let me start with you, Esther. You've been waiting patiently here. They're the new Mandela, apparently.
Apparently. I just find the arrogance is incredible to demand an apology, because that's how you get an apology, by demanding one, a sincere and honest and open apology. I just think, you know, they officially declared war on the royal family by coming out with this Netflix documentary. They made it clear that they wanted no reconciliation, because you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't put your family through that if you really wanted open, genuine conversation and reconciliation.
But also, they just called Prince Charles a lying bully. Yeah. They've called Prince William
even worse.
Even worse. So they drove him out of the country with his, or he drove them out of the country with his bullying and lies. They've called the whole family a bunch of racists.
Why would you even want an apology from people like that are so negative in your view?
Well, exactly.
I think I can understand why they're demanding apology, because they're so self-righteous about everything. They assume they're right about everything. I can't understand what on earth makes them think Charles and William would even consider being in the room with them right now.
But I do think...
Exactly. Somebody, exactly. This is somebody that doesn't even care. Makes it like it's the family's fault for everything. Where did it all go wrong? Make it make sense. You want them to apologize to you. You're not seeing nothing wrong with what you're doing or what you've done. And why exactly is it demanding apology? Because obviously, with everything he's done so far, who is hurting who?
Consider being in the room with them right now.
But I do think there's an element of the longer that they can keep this feud going, that's more money in their bank account, because now everything they do, they'll just be like, oh, but what about William? How's your relationship with the royal family? How's your relationship with your father? And so it's basically, you know, a giant check that blank check they've signed.
How could you trust them not to just basically record everything that goes on if they did have a meeting like that?
Well, they would.
Let me go to Natalie Collins. Natalie, I'm aware there are people out there that completely disagree and think that they are true freedom fighters who were oppressed by the royal family and have taken their oppression now to this vast mansion in Montecito in Santa Barbara. It's a beautiful place. I've been down to that area. Lovely. Rolling ocean waves, beautiful lifestyle. Not my idea of what oppression looks like, but there we are. Each to their own. But let's get to this idea of an apology. that you can basically call a family a bunch of callous racists who refuse to let you get help for suicidal thoughts that you said you had, that made racist comments apparently that were so demeaning you had to allude to them on an Oprah Winfrey interview. You now call them a bunch of lying bullies, including the new king. Why would you expect anybody to sit down with you and apologise after you've done all the public trashing?
I think in the context of a column that was written today by Jeremy Clarkson, which described Meghan Markle as worse than Rose West and calling on people to have her stripped naked and throw excrement on her in the street, I think it's really important that we put the context of what Meghan and Harry are talking about in the context of the wider hatred, which, to be fair, you were a real pioneer in that hatred of Meghan Markle years before.
I don't hate Meghan
Jeremy
Markle.
Clarkson wrote
I don't
this
know.
column.
Hang on.
I think it's...
Hang on.
Well, I mean, you have
Natalie.
made a career out of
You said I hate
about
Meghan
her.
Markle. Let me be clear. I've never said I hate Meghan Markle. I don't hate Meghan Markle. I hate what she's done to the royal family and to the monarchy and to the reputation of Britain. Only tonight, the New York Times has carried a major op-ed piece absolutely trashing this country as a racist country with a racist institution at the head of it, a callous institution that should be dismantled. So, yeah, I see real damage in what Meghan Markle and Harry have both done now to the reputation of his country and to our monarchy. So, yeah, but I don't hate them individually as people. And in relation to the Clarkson column, which he's now issued a mea culpa over, I didn't think he should have put that in the column for my personal view. But he's now said he wishes he hadn't either. So, I don't see what that has to do with the wider picture of these two trashing their families and now demanding an apology.
Hate is a strong word. But let's look at this. Do you think pointing out something that they do or something that they did to their family and all of that and what they've done to a beloved country is hate? It is not. Because obviously you're pointing or stating out things that they've done or things that you see going on. I mean, which reasonable person would trash their family publicly and act like it's nobody's business? It is not hate. You're just calling and stating the obvious. It is not hate. Yeah, everybody have their differences of opinion on how they view things and whatever. Some people would see that, oh, because you're sharing your thoughts and opinion on this, you hate the person. You don't know the person, except you know the person, then okay, it's a different thing or it's different clothes. But do you know the person personally to hate on the person? Yeah, some people don't even need reasons to know somebody to hate on them. But I mean, obviously, you see people are calling her out on the certain behaviors towards the family, towards the beloved country. What do you think? So, what people are saying is, if you see something is wrong or something that is wrong, you shouldn't point it out. Make it make sense.
Well, I think in the same way that you're saying you don't personally hate them, but you are opposed to what they stand for and what they're saying and how they've behaved, I think that's entirely the same argument that Meghan and Harry are making in their documentary and in the work that they've done, is saying that actually the way that they've been harmed by this institution, by this system, which, we cannot deny the impact of colonialism, we cannot deny the impact of this monarchy in terms of we have a history in this country of doing really terrible things to other places, and to deny that reality, to deny the impact of and the reality this monarchy. How is it that in this day and age we have a group of people who are born into wealth and privilege just because of being born into it? It is absolutely.
They're also responsible for developing the Commonwealth.
That is the norm.
Exactly.
They're also responsible for developing the Commonwealth, which has been one of the great success stories in the world. And
is it their fault? No, wait, make it make sense. Is it their fault that they were born into a noble family, well-respected family? Who wouldn't? So you want to tell me those people who were born into a respected family, wealthy family, who come from generational wealth, should feel guilty Is it their fault? Talk about colonialism or whatever. Look at Britain today. I don't understand why people are hating on Britain or hating on a beloved country. There is no country. Point me a country that is a saint. Point me a country that doesn't have their shortcomings. Talk about what? Colonialism? Really? Thank you, Piers. The Commonwealth. Do you think any country that is living today, if they had the opportunity, they would have survived or done what Britain did and still survive it? Britain is still standing today because regardless of how some people want to preach or move and spread hate towards the beloved country, they still did good. They still stood for good. People hate on them because somebody or some people are instilling hatred on them and are recruiting people to hate on the beloved country. It is Great Britain for freaking Great Britain. Are you telling me because the monarchy, they should feel guilty because they were born into generational wealth? Are you kidding me? Do you think if every family have an opportunity to have their way, they would not want to be born into generational wealth? Something to be proud. Oh, really? You have to be kidding me. Now we see where all of this is coming from, because obviously he did not appreciate what is got. He's a prince. He's a freaking prince, and that is not going to be taken away from him, regardless. And whether he likes it or not, he's born into the family, the monarchy, or the royal family, generational wealth is not going to be taken away from him, whether he likes it or not, whether he wants it or not, whether he appreciates it or not. And it is still the legacy. What are we doing? Making people feel guilty. That is the reason why lots of people are making Britain guilty. Or you see some of the British people or some British people, they feel guilty. The ancestors, generational. Oh no. I could not even believe what my ear heard.
Of course,
it's not really Commonwealth, though, is it? The people who've got that wealth are mainly in the royal family, have a lot more wealth.
So you hate them because they've got money. So presumably by that yardstick, if you hate people who've got lots of money without actually earning or deserving it, you must also hate, therefore, the Sussexes, who've done nothing to deserve it other than trash their family.
Well, I think, you know, I think there's a sense that, of course, people, we can't, like, hate people because of their privilege, but what they're doing with it or how they're utilising it is really important as well. And I think there is a sense that we are also talking about a man who, as a boy, his mother was killed by a baying mob in the media and then was,
actually, no, that's not true.
grew
I'm
up
sorry.
to have a wife
I'm sorry.
who was also
look,
attacked by a baying mob.
These are easy lies to say on television. But I'm afraid I have to hold you to account on
But it's
them.
not a lie that his mother was killed,
Princess Diana was not killed by a baying mob.
It's not a lie.
Princess Diana was killed by a drunk driver. That was the official inquest report into her death. It was a drunk driver speeding who killed Princess Diana. So it wasn't a baying mob that killed her.
Furore.
Well, you might want it to be a baying mob. And maybe Harry has grown up thinking it was a baying mob. I could tell 100 stories about the way his mother colluded with me as a newspaper editor with the paparazzi, or colluded with me over having a private lunch at Kensington Palace, giving me loads of stories, which she knew I would then have as informed information for my newspaper. I could tell the time that Diana rang me up and gave me an hour-long interview about a visit to a clinic she'd done, signed off on every page of the interview, which was faxed to her and returned with her initials on it, and the next day said she was outraged by the intrusive story in the Daily Mirror, which was the story she'd given me at length over an hour on tape. So there are lots of different ways you can skin this cat about the relationship between the royal family and the media. My argument about Meghan and Harry is they apparently were so disgusted by this callous, racist family and institution that they fled the country, gave up royal duty, now live in California in extreme luxury, and yet bizarrely, they still want to retain the titles afforded them by the institution that they describe as callous racist, and they use those titles to make themselves stinking rich without doing any work. I think that's hypocrisy. Let's go to Di Davis.
Well,
Di Davis
sounds like the rest of the royal family, really. I mean,
well, not really, because
they're all
they do
making
hundreds and
pretty much
hundreds and
a lot of money out
hundreds
not doing
of
very much,
duties
are
a
they?
year. Well, they turn up at 100, in 300-400 events a year, the main royals. So they actually do put back. That's the whole point of the royal family. They don't just get paid for nothing; they give back. Di Davis, you were helping to run security of the royal family for many years. What do you make of this? I mean, I read this New York Times piece tonight with a real sinking feeling in my heart that actually the relentless attacks by Meghan and Harry are beginning to really stick in other parts of the world about our country and about our monarchy.
Well, good evening. A very good friend of mine defined ethical. Being ethical means knowing what is right and having the courage to do what is right. As a former policeman, what I haven't seen one iota so far is evidence. And unfortunately, people like Clarkson give grease to the story. He doesn't represent you, he doesn't represent me, and he doesn't represent 99% of this country. I take great umbrage as being classified quite often as a police officer or an ex-police officer as racist. I resent it, and I resent those who have the audacity to actually come out with this palpable nonsense with little or no evidence. The whole issue, if they gave that 100 million to charity, I'd have more respect. But I don't think they have.
No, and you know what, Di? I get called a racist all day long on social media now as a direct result of Meghan Markle leavering me out of my former job, in which she basically inferred if you didn't believe her about everything, you must be a racist. I don't have a racist bone in my body, nor have I ever said anything racist about Meghan Markle. No one can find anything I've said. And yet, it got so ridiculous. Even Sharon Osbourne was fired from a job she loved in America because she said I was entitled to my opinion, and for that she was called a racist sympathiser. This is how mad it's got. But this is the damage that's done. The royal family right now in America are perceived by many people to be callous racists without any, as you say, Di, any actual evidence to support any of these claims. And, I mean, Di, on a wider point, where does this leave the monarchy? What should they do? I mean, the historic position of the current family is you just don't respond to this kind of thing. But are we reaching the point, and I always think that never complain, never explain is a good mantra, the Queen Mother's mantra for being popular in the public eye if you're a royal. But are we reaching a point where they need to return some fire?
Well, sometimes the royal family need good advice. Their protection officer quite often give good advice and they listen. In this case, I don't think they should apologise. I thought they were wrong in respect of Lady Hussey. In my opinion, and a lot of people disagree, she had nothing to apologise for. I felt, and I said it either on your programme or others, they were wrong to jump to conclusion without hearing all the facts and actually interviewing Lady Hussey. But we are where we are now. I just hope that doesn't set a precedent, because it would be wrong. And yes, would I invite them to the coronation? Certainly not. From a security point of view, it would all about them. And unfortunately, they have caused, as I've said in the Telegraph fairly recently, in my opinion, there are nutters out there who could cause harm to not only the royal family, but also those in America. The fixated threat assessment of the FBI and CIA, and I went to Los Angeles years ago to discuss this, there are literally thousands in America. They're doing nothing to support their safety or their cause. They are completely, their moral compass has gone skew-whiff, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think, I mean, look, I don't think
mind
anyone...
saying so to anyone.
I don't wish any harm on any of the people involved in this. Harry, Meghan, any of the royal family, none of them. Absolutely clear about that.
They're going to get harm if they carry on like this.
Right,
Piers.
I think all of it is... Yeah,
harm.
I agree. I think all of it is incendiary, and this book that's coming out will be even more incendiary and pour even more fuel on the fire. But my question about the coronation, I've got to be honest, why would two people who despise the monarchy and everything it stands for, who think that the royal family are a bunch of racists, why on earth would they turn up at the coronation? Why would they? I'll tell you why. Because that's where the money is. If they're seen at the coronation, next to all the major royal players, that is gold dust for their next Netflix series. And right there, is the hypocrisy that underpins everything these two do. Got to leave it there. A good debate. Natalie, thank you very much indeed. Di, thank you very much.
Because they love the attention and the spotlight it gives. More so, you know where all of this is coming from, because obviously before now, he was a good boy, or he was good, respectful to his family, ready to work in the family. Do you think if Princess Diana was alive, his late mother was alive, she would have let this happen? No, she wouldn't have, because obviously destroying your family, like, make it make sense. How would anybody in their right senses look at this and be okay? Like, let's leave the royal family aside, let's leave the monarchy. How would anybody see this and be okay that you are trashing your family, embarrassing your family publicly? There is no family, let's even be honest with ourselves, there is no family that is 100% right, in the sense that there is always one way or the other. Families would have conflict or the other. That is why they are family, and they would resolve it. Or putting it out there as a cash cow, nah. And he's a prince, he's a freaking prince, and it cannot be taken away from him. He's a prince. So what does he really want? That is what I'm not even understanding. Because, like, make it make sense. This is it. Victimhood sells, and they instill this guilt because it sells. So they are going to sell a lie to some particular group of people to tell you, oh, you have to feel guilty because your ancestors did this, or because you're from a country that did this, you have to be guilty. Your ancestors, not you, your ancestors. So you want to tell me you should feel guilty for something your ancestors did? Why are people continuously picking the bad over the good? You don't hear people claim and say, oh, my ancestors did this, or this in history, they did what they did was right. Pick out the good on that and reminisce on it and be proud. Because point me any human being, or one freaking human being, that didn't hurt another through your words, actions, or whatever. Point me those. Or point me a human being that is so righteous or self-righteous. Point me who. But every time they want to make one person feel guilty and say, oh, this person did this and this person did that. Why is that? Why are they selling victimhood? And why are people glorifying and rejoicing over victimhood? Why do they want people to be victims? They make it seem like people who came from generational wealth is a bad thing, is a bad idea. So let me get this straight. So being poor is good. Generational wealth is bad. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment down below. I'm sure tons of people have interesting things to share. I would really love to share that. You can share the useful information you think might be really helpful. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all of that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video.